Near a beautiful forest in the peaceful region of Vishnupur, there was a small village where people lived in harmony with nature. In this village lived a young boy named Raghav, who was known for being hardworking, honest, and dedicated in everything he did. Whether it was studying or helping with daily chores, Raghav always gave his best. However, despite his admirable qualities, he was not truly happy. There was one habit that constantly made him feel miserable. He kept comparing himself to others. Whenever Raghav saw his classmate Karan, who always scored the highest marks in school, he would sigh and think, "I wish I were as smart as him." When he saw his neighbor Sidar, who lived in a large house and had great wealth, Raghav would feel inferior and wish for the same lifestyle. Even when he saw someone running fast, he would feel disappointed in himself, wishing he had that ability too. In Raghav's eyes, it seemed like everyone was better than him, and he was missing something important. This habit of constant comparison slowly drained his happiness and motivation. His mind was filled with feelings of disappointment and self-doubt. He started to lose focus on his studies, and his enthusiasm for work began to fade. The joy he once felt in everyday life began to disappear. Raghav started to believe that he could never be as successful as others, no matter how hard he tried. Even though he continued to work hard, he was held back by a constant feeling of not being good enough. The more he looked at what others had or could do, the more he forgot about his own strengths and worth. Comparing himself to others became a trap, one that only led to sadness, frustration, and a growing sense of failure. Each day, Raghav felt more lost, as if his life was missing meaning and direction, simply because he wanted to be someone else instead of appreciating who he was. One day, news spread throughout the village that a wise and well-respected saint had arrived. He was known far and wide for helping people understand the deeper truths of life. Curious and hopeful, Raghav decided to meet the saint. Deep inside, he was tired of feeling sad and lost. Maybe this holy man could help him find peace. When Raghav finally stood before the saint, he spoke from the heart. "Gurudev, I work very hard, but whenever I see someone better than me, I feel sad. I feel like I can never be like them. Please help me overcome this feeling." The saint listened calmly and then smiled gently. Without giving a direct answer, he simply said, "Come to the oldest tree in the village tomorrow morning. You will find the answer to your question there." Raghav was surprised by this strange instruction, but he trusted the saint's wisdom. He thought, there must be a reason he asked me to go there. So he agreed. The next morning, just as the sun was rising, Raghav made his way to the ancient tree at the center of the village. To his surprise, the saint was already there, waiting for him. The old man gestured toward the surrounding forest and asked, "Tell me, Raghav, what do you see?" Looking around, Raghav replied, "Gurudev, I see many different kinds of trees. Some are tall, some are short, some have fruits, and others don't." The saint nodded with a knowing smile. "Good," he said. "Today the forest will teach you a lesson that no book ever could." Standing beneath the old tree, the saint continued his lesson. He pointed to the forest and asked Raghav, "Now imagine if this mango tree started comparing itself to the tall coconut tree. What if it complained that it's not as tall? And what if the coconut tree complained that it doesn't bear sweet fruit like the mango tree? Would that make any sense?" Raghav thought for a moment and replied, "No, Gurudev. That would be foolish. Each tree is different. They have their own purpose." The saint smiled warmly. "Exactly. And yet, isn't that what you do every day? Just like those trees, every person has their own unique qualities, purpose, and path in life. If all trees tried to be the same, the forest wouldn't be as beautiful or balanced as it is." Raghav looked around again, this time with a new perspective. The diversity of the forest, the tall trees, the small ones, the fruit-bearing and the bare, all existed together in harmony. Each tree had something special to offer, and none of them needed to be like the others to be valuable. The saint continued, "This is one of life's greatest truths. The mango tree gives sweet fruits. The coconut tree grows tall and strong. Their lives are different, but both are important. Just like them, you were not meant to walk someone else's path. You have your own journey, your own strengths." Raghav nodded slowly, beginning to understand. The forest wasn't just a place full of trees, it was a reflection of life itself. Every being had its place, its purpose, and its own kind of beauty. The lesson was simple yet powerful. You don't have to be like anyone else to matter. Minus A. After teaching Raghav through the forest, the saint led him to a small pond nearby. The surface of the water shimmered under the morning sun, and many fish were swimming peacefully. Above them, birds flew freely in the sky. The saint pointed at a bird soaring overhead, and then at the fish swimming below. He asked, "Raghav, tell me, if this fish started complaining that it couldn't fly like the bird, would that be fair?" Raghav shook his head and replied, "No, Gurudev. The fish is meant to swim, not to fly, and the bird is made to fly, not swim." The saint smiled and said, "Then why do you want to be like someone else? Just like the fish and the bird, every person is created with their own nature, their own abilities. Trying to be someone else only leads to frustration." Raghav stood quietly, absorbing the message. It was such a simple example, yet it spoke directly to the heart of his struggles. All this time, he had been trying to fly when he was made to swim. The saint continued, "Your journey is your own. You have strengths that others don't. Instead of comparing yourself, focus on developing your own talents. That is the key to fulfillment." In that moment, Raghav had a realization. He understood that true happiness comes not from comparison, but from embracing who you are. His heart felt lighter, and for the first time in a long while, he felt peace. After hearing the saint's wise words and witnessing the lessons from nature, Raghav experienced a deep realization. For the first time, he truly understood that comparing himself to others had only brought him sadness and distraction. Every person, just like every tree or creature in nature, has their own strengths, purpose, and timing. From that day forward, Raghav stopped comparing himself to those around him. Instead, he began to focus on his own abilities and worked hard to develop his unique strengths. He also started acknowledging his weaknesses, not with shame, but with the intent to improve them. With this shift in mindset, his confidence slowly returned, and he began seeing his life from a more positive perspective. He no longer envied the success of others. Instead, he found joy in his own growth. Day by day, he built new habits, stayed committed to his goals, and focused only on becoming a better version of himself. Years passed, and through continuous effort and self-belief, Raghav eventually built a successful business. He became one of the most respected and inspiring individuals in his village. People often came to him seeking advice, curious to know the secret behind his transformation and achievements. Raghav would simply smile and say, "Never compare yourself to others. If a fish tries to fly, it will always fail. But if it masters swimming, it can rule the entire ocean." He would often add, "The sun and the moon don't shine at the same time, yet both have their own place and moment to shine." His story became a powerful reminder that every person has their own time, their own journey, and their own value. And that the path to success and happiness begins when we stop looking outward and start looking within.